What's up, everybody? My name is Garrett Chapman for Falcons on SI. Got a cool new feature here that we're going to be doing here for you. Doing some training camp recap videos here. And it was a cold, rainy day up there at Flowery Branch today. So generally, I'll be doing them live at training camp, or at least right after training camp. I'll be doing right outside. And it was cold today, and it was raining. And so I didn't want to stand and do this in the rain. 30 degrees colder, plus it's like living in the 60s, plus the misty rain. I was chilled to my bones. So coming to you from my home studio, aka the spare bedroom at my apartment. But it's game week over there at Flowery Branch. Energy was really high. Lions Falcons at 7 o'clock on Friday, and that's what we're going to be ramping up towards. And it's going to be a theme here in this recap video. And like I said, energy felt really high up there at Flowery Branch today, especially given the bad conditions. And there's a funny moment there right at the beginning of practice. Drake London, he matched up with Raheem Morris. Yeah, the Falcons head coach. The pair of them lined up in a one-on-one drill where Drake kind of made him look silly. He shoved him, fell on his butt. It was made for a couple chuckles there on the sideline, and got a great video of it, and you can go check that out at GChapATL. But lots of national media folks were on site today for whatever reason. I think they were just making their rounds, but they made their presence felt there. I mean, like CBS was there, ESPN was there, NFL Network was there, and they chose a very good day to be there because one big piece of news did come out of training camp today. Kaleb McGary, he signed a 2-year, $30 million extension. So he's going to be under contract here in Atlanta through the 2027 season. You can check out a little bit more on that if you go to si.com/Falcons. Go check out the Falcons on SI page. I have a whole story written up there, and you can check it out there. But ultimately, look, this is a solid deal for a starting quality right tackle. He's an elite run blocker. You see his PFF grades, which, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. It's context, not the full picture of what a player is necessarily. But the sample size says that he is an elite run blocker. Plus, he's very consistent, and he plays all the time. 92 of 93 games. He's only missed one start in his 6 years in Atlanta. And continuity. The Falcons have really valued that on their offensive line, and that's exactly what they're going to have. The entire offensive line is going to be under contract on this team through the 2026 season. So very good news there. Good news for Kaleb McGary. He talked to the media right when training camp got underway last Thursday before last, I should say. And he was asked about his contract, of course, because he was in the final year of his deal, and he said he wasn't really worried about it. He said it was going to let the process sort of take its course, and he was just ready to focus on football. And now he'll definitely be focusing on football because he is going to be an Atlanta Falcon for the foreseeable future. But as far as the guys he's going to be protecting, Michael Penix, he looked sharp today. Had a nice touchdown pass to Kyle Pitts in the red zone portion of practices, and that's kind of important to note, just because after the injury to Darnell Mooney early on in training camp, that wide receiver room behind Drake London, Ray McLeod, it is wide open. Kyle Pitts, of course, is going to be listed as a tight end on the depth chart, but for all intents and purposes, he's going to be a slot type of receiver. He's somebody who can play the X, he can play the Z, he can play the Y. So he's very dynamic in that way. And he's been working out a lot with the wide receivers throughout the course of training camp. Does that mean too much? No, maybe not, but it does mean that's what they see him as. And he's still going to line up along the line of scrimmage. He'll line up out wide. But he did look good today, and Penix has really been trying to get him the ball. Had a really nice connection earlier today. But as far as the other guy goes, Kirk Cousins, he had a pretty good day today too. I mean, he's looked pretty sharp in camp just in general. Looks like his fluidity is back up in a good way. His arm strength is where it should be. But he was picked off today by probably the most popular undrafted free agent that I can think of, Kobe Bryant, the cornerback from Kansas. A lot of people were very surprised that he was an undrafted free agent. Some people had him as high as like the 5th round or something in last spring's draft. But he does fall out of the NFL draft, hopefully to the benefit of the Atlanta Falcons. And he does get the interception today. And that's his first interception of camp. But the real work is going to be coming up here later on in the week as they play the Detroit Lions. 13 cornerbacks are on the roster. And I think outside of your top group, you only got a handful of spots that are really on this roster. Kobe Bryant could be one of the guys to kind of jump into that role. He has the body type of somebody who can play the outside cornerback position, and he's got a nose for the football. So I think he really could benefit from more interceptions like this, just showing kind of what he can do. And if he can continue to do this, then he may end up having a spot on this 53-man roster. But he was on the NFI list to start training camp. He's been off for about 6 days. So he's back up and at him. And Friday's going to be the first real big moment for him. But speaking of that training camp or the preseason game coming up on Friday as well, Raheem Morris, he confirmed that Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins, neither of them are going to be playing on Friday. He did talk a lot about how much youth is on this team. And I think you may not see a lot of the starters necessarily, like AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates, Kaleb McGary, like we talked about, he just got his extension. None of those guys are probably going to be seeing the field at all. But guys like Kobe Bryant, guys like potentially Jalen Walker, potentially Xavier Watts, who both have been dealing with injuries, who were back practicing today, they may be seeing their first NFL action in preseason football coming up on Friday. And this is a young team, so a lot of young guys are going to be battling for roster spots, maybe not necessarily full-blown starting spots per se. You have the starting kicker position, which we'll get into here in just a second. You have the starting safety position, which we will also get into here in just a moment. But there are several potential young players who could make this roster, and that's really going to be the focal point of everything that goes on Friday. But Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins, according to Raheem Morris, they will not be going. Jalen Walker, though, he and Xavier Watts both have been injured and have been held out of practice here as of late. Raheem Morris said that they are going to be back on and practicing during training camp as they build up throughout the course of this week. Neither of these guys were there in the 11-on-11 drills, but we did see them in the earlier portions of practice. We saw them in the walkthroughs at the beginning, and we saw them with the individual portions as well. But those are guys that we're going to see kind of in predetermined types of roles. They're not going to be available for the entirety of training camp. I saw Xavier Watts was on the backfield working out with some trainers and things like that. But the other big news, speaking of rookies, James Pierce gets into another spat. I mean, the guy likes to be physical. He talks a lot of smack, and he grabs some face masks and everything else. So it was hard to see what exactly got the spat up going this time. I asked some guys about it after practice, and they declined to comment. They declined to really say too much about it. They kind of wanted to protect that and kind of keep that on the field. But look, they have a lot of respect for him. He's kind of been an instigator in this, and so far throughout the training camp periods. And I think it's made everybody better. I think it's brought an edge to the team, and I think everyone is iron sharpens iron, is what Raheem Morris used to say. So I think that this is ultimately a good thing for the Atlanta Falcons as long as it stays under control. I haven't seen any punches or anything like that. A lot of grabbing, a lot of yelling, a lot of fistful of jersey, things like that. But nothing too crazy, nothing too out of control. But James Pierce, man, I mean, he's got that edge, and that's really been a theme here of training camp so far. And it was again on Monday. Last big thing here from training camp 7, Younghoe Koo was 4-4. Looked very solid at the kicker position. And Lenny Krieg, the German kicker, it was 3-4, but had some wobbly kicks. Ultimately, I think this is Younghoe Koo's job to lose. I don't think Lenny Krieg is necessarily going to come in and steal the job away from him necessarily, just because Younghoe Koo's been a sort of a standard in the NFL for many years. And last season was more an aberration than the reality for Younghoe. And I think he's going to come back and he's going to be the guy for this team moving forward. But yeah, that's it. I mean, Falcons are getting ready for a preseason game coming up at the end of the week. And we got 3 more practices after this. And I'll be doing one of these after every single practice. So keep an eye out for those. Give me a follow at GChapATL. Go follow Falcons on SI on Twitter. Make sure you stay in touch with everything that's going on with your Falcons squad. Football season will be here before you know it. In fact, you might even say the football season's here right now. So very excited for all that, and we'll keep you tuned and updated on everything Atlanta Falcons. My name's Garrett Chapman for Falcons on SI. We'll see you again tomorrow.